Look, let's be real for a second. Most people don't believe in themselves. They let the world tell them who they are. They listen to that little voice in their head that says, you're not good enough. You can't do this. And then they quit before they even start. Belief is not something that magically appears when the conditions are right. It's not something you wait for, hoping one day you'll wake up feeling confident and ready to take on the world. That day never comes. Belief is a decision, a conscious choice you make in the face of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. It's about standing up and saying, I don't care how I feel. I don't care what anyone else says. I choose to believe in myself. The problem most people have is that they wait for external validation before they believe. They think they need proof, some kind of sign that they are good enough, strong enough, or capable enough, but that's backward thinking. You don't wait for proof to believe. You believe first, and the proof comes later. Every person who has ever achieved anything started without guarantees. They had to act in the absence of certainty. They had to step into the unknown, driven only by their decision to trust themselves. Most people are trapped in their own minds, paralyzed by self-doubt. They tell themselves stories about why they can't do something. I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. I don't have the right connections. I wasn't born into the right circumstances. These are just excuses, lies the mind tells to keep you comfortable. Because the truth is, believing in yourself is uncomfortable. It forces you to confront your fears, to push beyond what's familiar, to risk failure. And that's why so few people actually do it. It's easier to stay in the shadows of uncertainty, waiting for someone else to tell you that you're capable. But what happens when that validation never comes? What happens when the people around you don't believe in you either? What do you do then? Do you just give up? Or do you make the decision to trust yourself anyway? People who achieve great things don't necessarily have special talents or advantages. What they have is an unshakable belief in their ability to figure things out. They don't wait for confidence to take action. They take action and confidence follows. Every time they push forward despite fear, their belief grows stronger. Every time they prove themselves wrong, they build more evidence that they are capable. But belief isn't just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about showing up and proving it through action. You can't just sit around repeating affirmations, telling yourself, I believe in myself, while doing nothing to back it up. Belief is built through action. It's built when you push through resistance, when you keep going, even when things don't go your way. It's built when you refuse to let setbacks define you, when you use failure as fuel instead of a reason to quit. The reality is, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. People mirror back to you what you project. If you walk into a room doubting yourself, the world will doubt you too. If you hesitate, people will hesitate to trust you. But when you carry yourself with certainty, when you operate with conviction, people take notice. They may not believe in you at first, but they will eventually, because belief is contagious. When they see you backing up your belief with action, they won't be able to ignore it. Most people let fear dictate their lives. They let past failures define what's possible for them. But belief isn't based on what has happened before. It's based on what you decide to make happen next. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the limitations that others have placed on you. You are whatever you decide to be. Most people go through life waiting for someone to come along and tell them they're good enough, waiting for a lucky break, waiting for the right moment to take action. But here's the harsh truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the life you want. No one is going to wake up one day and suddenly decide to fix everything for you. If you want change, if you want success, if you want to break free from where you are right now, you have to take responsibility for it. The problem is most people are conditioned to depend on external forces. From a young age, they're taught that someone else will always be there to guide them, to protect them, to make things easier. Parents, teachers, bosses, governments. There's always been someone making decisions for them. So when life gets hard, their first instinct is to look outside themselves for help. They wait for someone to lift them up, to give them permission, to remove the obstacles in their way. And when that doesn't happen, they feel stuck. But the truth is, no one owes you anything. The world doesn't care about your excuses. Life is not going to slow down or make things easier just because you're struggling. You have to take control. You have to decide that no matter what has happened to you, no matter how unfair life has been, you are not going to sit around hoping for things to change. You are going to get up and make it happen yourself. Look at the people who have achieved real success. They weren't handed an easy path. They weren't given shortcuts. Many of them came from nothing, no support, no resources, no special advantages. But they didn't sit around complaining about it. They didn't wait for permission. They made a choice to fight for what they wanted, to push through every obstacle, to keep moving forward even when everything was stacked against them. They took full ownership of their lives. And that's the difference between winners and losers. Losers blame their circumstances. They say, I can't succeed because of where I come from, because of my past, because no one is helping me. Winners say, I don't care what my circumstances are. I don't care if no one helps me. I will figure it out. That mindset is what separates those who make things happen from those who spend their lives wishing for something better. Taking responsibility is not easy. It means admitting that where you are in life right now is a direct result of your choices. It means recognizing that no one else is responsible for your success or failure. That's a tough pill to swallow, but it's also the most liberating realization you can have. Because once you accept full ownership of your life, you take back your power. You're no longer waiting, you are acting. Most people want success, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with it. They want to be in shape, but they don't want to be responsible for their diet and workouts. They want financial freedom, but they don't want to be responsible for their spending and earning habits. They want great relationships, but they don't want to be responsible for how they communicate and treat others. But the truth is, you can't have success without responsibility. You can't have results without taking full control of the process. Excuses will always be there. The world will always give you reasons to quit. But the people who win are the ones who refuse to let those reasons define them. They don't wait for someone to show them the way. They carve their own path. They don't expect anyone to save them. They save themselves. Comfort is the enemy of growth. It's the silent killer of ambition, the slow poison that keeps people stuck in the same place for years. People crave comfort because it feels safe, it's predictable. It doesn't challenge them. It doesn't demand anything from them. It doesn't push them beyond what they already know. But that's exactly why comfort is so dangerous. It tricks you into believing that staying the same is okay. It convinces you that as long as things aren't bad, they don't need to get better. But here's the truth. Nothing great has ever come from a place of comfort. No one has ever built a strong mind, a powerful body, or an extraordinary life by choosing the easy path. Growth only happens when you push yourself beyond what feels good, when you step into discomfort and force yourself to adapt. The human body and mind are designed to respond to stress. When you lift heavy weights, your muscles break down and rebuild stronger. When you challenge your mind, your brain forms new connections, making you smarter and more capable. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you never step outside of what's comfortable, you never give yourself the chance to improve. The problem is, most people run from discomfort. The moment things get hard, they back off. They start something new, but as soon as it requires real effort, they quit. They tell themselves, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm just not built for this. But the truth is, they were never willing to endure the discomfort required to grow. They weren't willing to push through the hard part. And that's why they stay stuck. Because they keep choosing what's easy over what's necessary. The mind will always look for the easy way out. It will always try to convince you to stay comfortable. It will give you 1,000 reasons to quit. It will tell you you've done enough. You deserve a break. You don't need to push any harder. But that's a lie. It's a trap. Because every time you give into that voice, you reinforce weakness. You train yourself to stop when things get difficult. And every time you stop, it gets harder to start again. People who achieve great things are not superhuman. They just have the ability to sit with discomfort. They have trained themselves to embrace the pain, to welcome the struggle, to push through even when every part of them wants to quit. They don't let temporary pain dictate their long-term success. They understand that the harder the challenge, the greater the reward. Think about the times in your life when you grew the most. It wasn't when things were easy. It wasn't when you were sitting in comfort. It was when you were struggling, when you were forced to dig deep, when you had no choice but to push forward. That's when you became stronger. That's when you built resilience. That's when you found out what you were really made of. Discomfort is not something to avoid. It's something to chase. It's a sign that you are growing, that you are stretching beyond your limits, that you are becoming more than you were before. The most successful people seek out discomfort. They don't wait for challenges to come to them. They actively put themselves in situations that force them to level up. They understand that suffering is temporary, but growth is permanent. They know that the pain of discipline is far better than the pain of regret. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pain, trying to stay comfortable, trying to take the easiest road possible. And that's why most people never achieve what they're truly capable of. They don't push hard enough. They don't demand more from themselves. They settle for good enough when they were built for greatness. But those who embrace discomfort, those who welcome the struggle, those who refuse to let pain dictate their actions, those are the ones who rise. Those are the ones who break through limits. Those are the ones who become unstoppable. Consistency is what separates the successful from the ones who almost made it. It's not talent. It's not luck. And it's not some magical formula. It's the ability to show up every single day, whether you feel like it or not. Most people want quick results. They want to put in a little effort and see massive rewards. But that's not how it works. Success is a byproduct of showing up, putting in the work, and doing it again and again until it becomes second nature. The problem is, most people don't have the patience for consistency. They start something with excitement, full of energy and motivation, but the moment they don't see instant results, they start making excuses. They say, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I need to try something else. And so they bounce from one thing to another, never sticking with anything long enough to actually get good at it. They expect progress to happen overnight, but when it doesn't, they give up before they even have a chance to succeed. The truth is, consistency isn't exciting. It's not glamorous. It's not something that people celebrate. No one claps for you when you wake up early every day to work on your goals. No one notices the sacrifices you make, the small steps you take, the hours you put in when no one is watching. And that's why so many people fail. They crave instant gratification, and when they don't get it, they stop. But the ones who keep going, the ones who push through the boredom, the doubt, the frustration, those are the ones who eventually break through. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year. They expect massive changes in a short period of time, but they don't realize that small, consistent actions over time lead to unstoppable momentum. Every rep you do in the gym, every page you read, every skill you practice, it all adds up. It may not feel like much in the moment, but over time it compounds into something powerful. The biggest challenge with consistency is that it requires discipline. It means doing the work even when you don't feel like it. It means waking up early when you'd rather sleep in. It means pushing through workouts when you're tired. It means studying when your friends are out having fun. And that's where most people fail. They let their emotions dictate their actions. They only show up when they feel motivated, and when motivation fades, they stop. But the ones who succeed treat consistency like a non-negotiable. They don't wait to feel inspired. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. They understand that success is not about doing something once or twice. It's about doing it repeatedly, no matter what. They don't let bad days throw them off course. They don't let setbacks break their momentum. They stay locked in, focused, and committed to the process. Think about the people you admire, the ones who have achieved extraordinary things. They didn't get there by accident. They didn't get there by doing things sometimes. They got there by showing up day after day for years. They weren't always the most talented, but they were the most consistent. And because of that, they outlasted everyone else. Most people give up too soon. They quit right before they were about to see results. They stop because they think their effort isn't paying off. But success doesn't work that way. Progress is happening even when you can't see it. Every time you stay consistent, every time you push forward, despite obstacles, you are getting closer to where you want to be. Most people want recognition. They want to be noticed. They want people to see their hard work, to acknowledge their effort, to applaud their progress. But the truth is, real success is built when no one is watching. The work that truly matters happens behind the scenes, in the quiet moments, in the darkness, where there's no applause, no validation, and no one to tell you that you're doing a good job. That's where the foundation of greatness is laid. The problem is, most people rely on external motivation. They want instant feedback. They want likes, comments, and approval. They want someone to tell them they're on the right track. And when they don't get that validation, they start to question themselves. They wonder if they're wasting their time. They hesitate, they slow down, and eventually they stop. But the ones who truly succeed, they don't need external validation. They don't need recognition to keep going. They do the work because it needs to be done. Success is built in the unseen hours. It's waking up early and grinding when the world is still asleep. It's staying late when everyone else has gone home. It's practicing alone, perfecting your craft in silence, sharpening your skills with no audience. It's the repetition of small, disciplined actions that no one else cares about but make all the difference in the long run. Most people look at successful individuals and only see the results. They see the championship, the million-dollar business, the viral success. But what they don't see are the years of effort that came before it. They don't see the sacrifices, the lonely nights, the countless failures. They don't see the times when no one believed, when there was no reward, when every reason to quit was staring them in the face, but they kept going anyway. That's why so many people fail to reach their full potential. They focus too much on the outcome and not enough on the process. They want the reward without the grind. They want the spotlight without the struggle. But greatness is earned in the moments no one sees. It's built when you push yourself to do the work, when there's no audience, no applause, and no one checking in to make sure you're still on track. The people who truly win in life understand this. They know that if they only work hard when people are watching, they will never be great. They train just as hard in an empty gym as they do in front of a crowd. They put in just as much effort in silence as they do when the world is paying attention. Because they know that the work they put in when no one is watching is what separates them from everyone else. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent. It's not luck. It's what they choose to do when there's no one there to hold them accountable. It's the discipline to keep pushing forward when there's no reward in sight. It's the ability to show up day after day without expecting instant results. Most people give up too soon because they don't see immediate progress. They don't realize that every hour spent in the dark, every drop of sweat, every late night and early morning is building something bigger than they can see. They underestimate the power of consistency, of repetition, of doing the same thing over and over until it becomes second nature. The truth is, the real work is done long before the world ever sees the results. It's done in the struggle, in the moments of self-doubt, in the hours of practice that no one will ever know about. The ones who understand this are the ones who make it to the top. The ones who don't fade away before they ever get close. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather, unpredictable and inconsistent. One day, you wake up feeling unstoppable, ready to take on the world. The next day, you don't feel like doing anything. If you rely on motivation to get things done, you'll never achieve anything great. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after the excitement fades. People who wait to feel motivated before they take action will always be at the mercy of their emotions. They'll work hard when they feel inspired, but the moment they don't, they'll make excuses. They'll tell themselves, I'm just not feeling it today. And before they know it, one skip day turns into a week, then a month, and suddenly they've lost all their momentum. That's why most people fail. They think motivation is the key to success, but the truth is, motivation is just a fleeting feeling. Discipline is what creates real results. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't want to do it. It means showing up and putting in the work no matter how tired, bored, or uninspired you feel. It's about making a commitment to yourself and refusing to break it no matter what. The best athletes, the best business leaders, the best performers in any field don't rely on motivation, they rely on habits. They have trained themselves to push through resistance, to act despite their feelings, to execute their plan regardless of their mood. Most people don't want to hear this. They want a shortcut. They want an easy way out. They want to feel good about skipping the work and still get the results. But success doesn't work like that. You can either have excuses or you can have progress. You can't have both. The hard truth is that there will be days when you don't feel like showing up. There'll be days when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when everything seems pointless. And those are the days that matter the most. Because if you can push through on the hard days, you become unstoppable. Discipline is what separates the winners from the quitters. It's what makes the difference between the person who reaches their goals and the one who spends their whole life wishing they had. The ones who succeed are not always the most talented. They're not always the smartest or the strongest. But they're the ones who refuse to stop. They're the ones who show up no matter what. Most people have trained themselves to quit when things get hard. They listen to that voice in their head that tells them to take a break, to slow down, to give up. But the ones who win train themselves to ignore that voice. They push through even when every part of them wants to stop. And every time they do, they get stronger. Their willpower grows. Their discipline becomes unshakable. Think about the greatest athletes in the world. They don't just train when they feel like it. They don't just practice when they're excited. They put in the work every single day, whether they're tired, sore, or unmotivated. They understand that discipline is the price of greatness. They know that if they let their feelings dictate their actions, they'll never reach their full potential. Most people underestimate what they're capable of because they've never truly tested their limits. They've never forced themselves to push past their excuses, to work when they don't feel like it, to keep going when everything inside them is telling them to stop. But those who develop discipline, those who master the ability to act regardless of how they feel, those are the ones who achieve things that most people only dream about.